Hey, this is Vlogblog 3000 channel. I'm going to be talking about the future, of course. So, the future for me, and the way we're traveling right now, it seems pretty dire actually. There's a lot of events that are happening that are causing dehydration of the entire global freshwater or good water to drink. Not only that, but there's a lot of things. That's what I wanted to talk about was the future events that could be apocalyptic. So I've been watching a YouTube channel called by Discovery, I think. No, by NPR News. Nope, it's what is it by CNET by CNET called Hacking the Apocalypse. So Hacking the Apocalypse is about survival and information on how to surpass the apocalypse or to survive the apocalypse. So a lot of things they say on there are true, which is good. A lot of the things they say on there are about survival, like bunkers and things like that. But what I'm going to talk about is geological and nature. And the things that we're doing as a planetary species to counteract the ability for the planet to survive. So this is disturbing, but also real. So the things are there was this experiment in Tucson where called Earth Two, and Earth Two. There's a funny movie about it. You can look up Earth Two on uh, YouTube or something like that, and you can find a lot of different resources about Earth Two in Tucson. Now it was made Tucson, Arizona. It was made that facility was made for the purpose of experimenting what it might be like on other planets so that people could survive on other planets. And they used concrete floors, right? So the issue with that was that the concrete floors were soaking up the oxygen, the O2, in the enclosed, encapsulated environment. They had trees, they had plants, they had all sorts of things. But the thing was that because of all that concrete, it was soaking up all the O2, and the ability for the plants to produce enough O2 didn't actually work. More so much so that the people living inside there was about 7 scientists who lived in Earth 2, and they signed a 2-year contract, life or death. Okay, so after 6 months or a year, they begged to come out because they couldn't breathe. Literally, they didn't have the equipment for breathing anymore. They didn't have any O2 tanks or anything like they might have, but those run out after a couple hours, so you can't really just live on tanks for a long time. And the production of O2 with plants didn't work enough to where it counteracted the balance of the O2 being sucked in by the concrete. So if we think about it, the O2 that is being sucked up by concrete over decades, actually it takes a long time for concrete to cure, and it takes decades for concrete to cure. So over decades, the concrete that's curing sucks in O2, and O2 is what the environment needs to, or people actually need to survive, and also water. Water is H2O, and if water is flowing over O2 over concrete, then it will suck out the O2 in the H2O and convert that into whatever gases are made by the lye and the other things that make concrete. So, with all the big cities that we have, and all the sidewalks, and all the brick, and all the I don't know about brick. I think brick's a different process. But all of the streets and all of these things, these huge cities with tons of concrete, we're sucking in a lot of O2 that's used for the atmosphere, so that the atmosphere doesn't have enough O2 to shield us from our for shield the environment and shield the whole planet from itself. It's taking away the atmosphere. I mean, the Earth will have an atmosphere, but it will have a decreased atmosphere over time if we continue to build with concrete. Now, of course, I would love to build with other sources like sand, as in the Native American way of building structures. It would that would be great. I forgot the term of it, but that would be great. Um, why not? So that's one way. I mean, sand is very abundant on the planet. And we use that also to build concrete, but the processes of the chemicals that are used in concrete sucks up the O2 in the oxygen and in water. Another thing that we're doing is cutting down trees to build houses and other structures within the U.S. and other all throughout the world. We're cutting down so many trees. That's another decrease in O2 creation in the world. So the atmosphere that allows us to breathe is becoming more and more hydrogenated and more carbonated. So all of those things are contributing. Those two things are contributing, as well as cars and other artificial ways of creating energy. So the pollutants and the CO2 that's created by cars and created by cows. Cows is a big contributor. Cows are belch CO2, and that's them. They stink. So it's like rotting eggs. That's what their belch is. So having a lot of cows and other animals on the planet that we eat a lot of causes a lot of O2 problems in the atmosphere, and CO2 issues, increase of CO2. So another option is to not cut down trees as much and use sand for building structures and other things like tables and things like that. That would reduce the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere by increasing the amount of clean air. Being sustainable with energy, wind, solar, and nuclear is a good way, as long as they're in a stable location like the ones near Arizona, where there's not a lot of earthquakes and there's not a lot of things that could go wrong. No tsunamis, as in, I should say that tsunamis. You say it with a TS, tsunami. Um, so no areas where that aren't near the coast is a good thing. The thing with uh, uh, Okinawa, I think it was Okinawa. No, where was it? Anyways, it was the plant in Japan that uh, was uh, was taken over by water by a tsunami. The thing was is that the plant was they cut corners. They were supposed to build a high wall and build the structure of the nuclear plant to be higher on the internal structure of it to be higher, and they actually had it lower, which was against regulations and against the plans that they had for it. The blueprint said that it should be higher, and they dismissed that and made it lower because it was easier. They didn't want to do it. It was cheaper. So that's why that plant had nuclear problems and water introduced and a meltdown. So with that, build nuclear power plants within good areas where there's no tectonic disturbances and things like that. Another thing that's causing a lot of this the solution for cars is to ride in buses, is to ride in trains, and to not have individual cars. Um, Back in the day when the year 1900, when automobiles were originally introduced into the world, there were a lot of people riding in buses and trains. That whole system was built in New York and Philadelphia to where a lot of the people were riding in buses and trains. So you see a lot of Amtrak trains and light rails and subways, things of that nature. And that's why there's so many over there, because they built them to be used a lot. That's the way transportation was. But the big gurus in automobile industries started thinking to themselves, well, I can get a profit off of selling an individual a high cost replaceable car that depreciates in value over a short period of time. Right off the lot, it's 50% less value than it was just brand new with 0 miles on it, right? So he put 1 mile on it and it's lost 50% of its value already, as opposed to Tesla cars that keep 95% of its value over a 3 year period, which is true. The Tesla Model 3 has been out for 3 years and it has lost only 5% of its value, which is really cool. Yeah, so solar, wind. Um, there's a there's a lot of and oceanic waves to create energy. There's that too. There's floating devices that use fans along rivers and things of that nature. Also dams are good. If you are in a place that allows for a lot of buildup of the water, like in the Grand Canyon, near the Grand Canyon, uh, on Roosevelt Hoover Dam, between here and Las Vegas. I'm in Mesa. Mesa, Arizona. Um, between here and Las Vegas, Phoenix area. Between Phoenix and Las Vegas is the Hoover Dam, and the Hoover Dam is huge. It stops the Little Colorado River and creates the Grand Canyon. Or, yeah, the Little Colorado River is in the Grand Canyon, and it basically uses that water to create the dam, and then it continues the water past the dam, of course. So, spinning turbines through rivers is a great idea. It's been around for centuries. Seriously, that not electricity, but the ability to create machinery through rotating piece on rivers has been around for centuries. You see it in so many old shows, and you see it in the history books all over the place. It's a great way for machinery to be used. So, throughout the industrial age, that was created heavily, and it's great. Um, so, all of those things sustainable ways of producing wood, which would be a lot of wood, which would help you create wood in a very woody way. Anyways, um, what is it called? Can't think of the name. Bamboo. So bamboo is a very fast growing plant, and everything can be made from it from the same plot of land over and over again. It's as if growing wheat in the same plot of land. You have it every season. It continues to grow and grow and grow really fast, really well. They're small, they're thin, they're vertical, they're so you can plant rows and rows and rows of them and continue to cut them down every year, which is great. Which is great. How many times can you cut down a tree before it has to grow back again? I mean, seriously, it takes 100 years for a tree to grow well, and to get the wood from it. So why are we cutting down the things that are non-sustainable and tripping up the whole entire planet, including pollution into the ocean and things like that? The end process of us continuing our way is a dry desert planet with no breathable atmosphere, harsh atmosphere. The ability for the water cycle to continue is not going to. We're going to dry up all the oceans. We're going to become the next Mars in the next 1,000 years, 2,000 years. I kid you not. This is going to happen. So it might take a couple thousand years, but it will happen. So, I mean, I believe that. Somehow part of us believes. I know a lot of people believe that there were civilizations on Mars, and that the civilization on Mars dried up Mars, but that's the thing. So maybe. I mean, it's not proven. There is salt water on Mars. That's been proven. There was one microbiological thing that they found, which is kind of shoveled under a lot of different information that you hear about Mars. But there was one one life form found on Mars, which was a little tiny microorganism, which was kind of cool. So it might be proliferated with microorganisms. Who knows? But the common sense consensus of Mars having life is negatory. But it does have salt water, which is really good. And it's not just any salt water. It's not O2, CO. It's not O2 and salt. It's hydrogenated salt water. So it's a little different than um, than salt water you find in the oceans here. Um, so it's completely different CO2 water basically. So what else? What else? What else? So yeah, that's my explanation of what might happen in the future if we continue to use our planet the way we do in a non-sustainable fashion, which is horrible. Which is horrible. So as we continue, that will occur with concrete, with uh, cutting down trees, with not using sustainable resources, with not having things that making things for profit that hurts the little guy. That, in and of itself, causes non-sustainable futures. I mean, how many times do you need to replace a plastic part on your car because it's depreciated in value? Why do we need to pay $15,000 for a $2,000 car? It's seriously a $2,000 car. Why do we need to pay $15,000 for it? And it takes very little money to create these cars, but they've inflated the value of it um, so much that we can't afford it without both parents working, both family members working, and all the children going to school to be taught by strangers on how to live life, right? So they're educated by strangers who then taught how to live life. I'm like, come on, seriously, how many people would love to stay home, a man or a woman? I don't care. It's like I want to stay home if I have children. If I had children, I would stay home and teach them if I had the income to do so, but I don't. So it's kind of, I mean, I do have enough income to survive and to live, and it's just not enough to raise a child, um, in and of itself. So now both parents have to go to work because of the decreased value of the dollar, as well as the increased. Let me All right. Well, anyways, I was talking about Mars, and yeah, I believe a civilization was there at one point in time. I mean, it's been a very long time, but I believe that there was one point in time there was someone there. Why couldn't they? I mean, the signs are there, the things are there. It did have uh, a spinning center of mass at one time where it had a greater atmosphere, and it did have water, and the atmosphere was stripped because the center of the planet lost its electromagnetic force, and the radioactive waves from, or the stellar radiation from the sun stripped the rest of the atmosphere away. So I don't know exactly where it was in the line of thought, but I'm coming back to that. So talking about the future of civilizations and the future of things, I believe that the aliens that we see today are actually the process of people being evolutionized over thousands of years with a planet, our planet, that has little atmosphere and has little survivability. So you see with aliens, big eyes, and the reason why there might be big eyes is because it needs to be able to see in dark, very dark areas, and maybe even in space where it is mostly dark, where they have to travel long distances. And we look at the genetic alterations that are going on right now. We want to create superhumans, and to create superhumans, you have to have eagles eyes like an eagle. And eagles actually, and lots of other birds have the ability to see in infrared. That's because their eye pupils are bigger, and with dilated, bigger pupils, you can see different wavelengths. So imagine a microwave, right? You have a microwave that it doesn't allow microwaves into outside of the window because of those little circles you see. Those little circles are blocks for the wavelength of microwaves. So high energy radio waves, right? So our pupils have the same size as a microwave circle. So we can't see radio waves or high energy radio waves, microwaves, thermal radiation. We can't see it. But if our pupils were bigger, like people who are on acid, you can see radio waves. You can see thermal radiation. That's why people trip out because they see all these colors because their pupils are bigger. They're dilated. It's not a mind effect, it's a physical effect of the eye. That's true. I mean, yes, you do trip out and you feel weird when you're on acid, and I've never tried it, but it's a fact that the pupils do dilate and get bigger, and you're able to see more and more light, different wavelengths of light, like thermal radiation. So, yeah, if a person lived with bigger dilated eyes, they could see different wavelengths of light that are higher in energy. And, I mean, if you made a eye that was as big as LiDAR, you could see gravity waves. Ah, it's true. I mean, it's true. If you increase the wavelengths are wavelengths of light are in varying differences based on the length and the size of the wave, and each undulation of the wave is an alternating current, which is up and down. It's not in DC, which is just on top. DC is an artificially created ability to have electricity. So in AC current of waves, energy waves throughout the universe, they vary in sizes, and the bigger they are, excuse me, the bigger they are, the higher energy, bigger energy they have. Microwaves have high energy. The cosmic microwave background radiation is high energy. Microwaves have high energy. So having a what's called finding a black hole in the middle of the universe with the radiation going around the black hole to us is easy to find with microwave radiation. And the scientists that find those radio waves artificially put colors into it, like colors that we can see, so that they can detect and see with their own eyes the radiation that's there. But if our eyes were different, we could see the radiation without needing um, artificially created colors like RGB. So yeah, very cool. Other than that, yeah, future humans are aliens, and why not? I mean, we're creating the ability to have mind control interfaces with computers. We're creating the ability to have mind to mind interfaces. We're creating the telepathy and telekinesis. So imagine you are connected to a computer and you can move the mouse around and you create an AutoCAD rendition that's 3D printed somewhere, right? And maybe you have a 3D printer in your bedroom or your office or something, and you 3D print something from your mind. That is essentially the ability to create something with your mind, right? You are doing it. It's telekinesis. That's it. I mean, you are actually physically moving something with your mind. What else are you using? Yeah, you see it on the computer, but imagine the difference you can make. So imagine the things you can put together, different technologies that you can put together to create that item, right? So imagine you have a screen on your lens or augmented reality, instead of a computer screen. And you're creating this AutoCAD rendition of something you want to make in a 3D printer, right? And imagine you want to fly a plane with your mind and use your ability to think in motionable characteristics that make the plane fly, or the jet, or the carrier, or something, right? So all of these things can be done with the mind, with the ability of Neuralink and other technologies like it. Right now, Neuralink, that is founded by Elon Musk, is creating mind-to-computer interfaces. With those mind-to-computer interfaces, you can move a mouse on the screen. You can type with a screen keyboard on the screen, and with learning algorithms, you can actually do things on the computer that are unable to be done by mankind right now. Uh, the possibilities are endless. You would be in the Matrix. That is the Matrix. That is the essential ability to be in a computer without being in a computer. I mean, yeah, a mind in a computer. That's it. I mean, so Second Life is another game. Basically, it's a Second Life on the internet where you could create an avatar that looks like a human or not, and travel throughout the world, its world, and go to different worlds and purchase items with actual money throughout the universe and create your land and make things and build things with coding and things like that. And you purchase blocks and you make things and you all sorts of stuff. It's the ability to do things on in virtual that you can or cannot do in the real life. So imagine a world like that where machines are sent out according copying the virtual world that we have. Right? So imagine a virtual world. The machines are sent out to create that virtual world. Okay? So you should look up Boston Dynamics. Boston Dynamics on YouTube has a lot of very functional robots that open doors, that walk, that carry luggage and other equipment for soldiers, that roll on two wheels, standing with bipedal systems like a human. It is amazing. So it's really cool. I would recommend you look at Boston Dynamics websites and things like that on YouTube where where they see videos, where they show for what's it called, anyways, where they show videos about the yeah, inventions they've made, which is really cool. They use machine learning for that, so it's just amazing. Balancing gyroscopics, things like that. It's great. So with the ability to have robots that act like humans in a world, physical world, our future is about creating a telepathic and telekinetic world where humans can interact with it in a non-physical manner where machines and other things do the biddings of the human race. And with little atmosphere and darkness because of, I don't know, a nuclear winter or things that stop humanity from surviving. So I bet you right now, the super rich nations are doing things with humans and genetics that are uncanny, that are real, that are superhumanizing people for the survival of the human race. And I believe that those people are have abilities that we don't. I mean, they put a glowing ear on a rat. They made a worm glow. You know, they they created things that are completely unnatural because of the pigmentation on a flower that they got that glows, and a luminescence of a fish in the sea, and they combine the two and now they have red furry rats that glow. Things like that, you know. So it's amazing. It's amazing what we can do. Now, nanotechnology is a thing. It is able to go in the body. It can happen. It does happen. So, there's the back of my head right there. Right in the mirror. So, anyways, back. Where is it? Back there. Yeah, back there. It's different in this. I didn't reverse the camera, so I have to actually physically look at it to find out where it is. Because in the camera, that way is the mirror, but it's not that way. It's that way in my world. So think of multi-dimensional planes in a computer simulated system is a lot easier than thinking of them in the real world. So, talking about multi-dimensions, this is mirrored, and that's like totally weird. So, um, my other thoughts are that God is real. He is lives on a higher dimensional plane, and what I mean by that is that we live in a four-dimensional universe, right? We have 3D, which is space, and we have time. So that's the fourth. Time is the fourth dimension, or the first dimension. Then the 3D is the space dimension. Three dimensions of uh, forward, back, up, down, left, right, or X, Y, Z. So X, Y, Z space and time is the fourth, or X, Y, Z is the third, and time is the first. Time is a point, and that's it. So yeah, or a line, something like that. Anyways, so the fifth dimension is a dimension to where something can exist and interact with any part of our dimension at any point in time, um, and do weird things to it, like reappear in the middle of nowhere all of a sudden. So I believe that the fifth dimension is a more fine dimension, as in smaller than Planck's length, smaller than any ability for our 3D universe and time can, our 4D universe can detect. So it's smaller than an electron, it's smaller than a quark, it's smaller than the smallest atom that we have ever detected. Smaller than dark, it might be dark matter, who knows. So maybe, maybe. I mean, for sure, it does have mathematical properties that are true, that have been shown to be true through through the equations of this, right? So if we plug fifth dimension into dark matter, I wonder if that will create the things that, or dark energy. I mean, so I wonder if that will, if we plug our laws into dark energy laws, I wonder if it'll fill the gaps for dark energy. So, um, being in the fifth dimension and able to create things from an unseen part of our universe, because we can't see with a telescope or a detector of any sort that has no light. So, because from this dark universe, this unseen universe that's behind the scenes, putting forth energy into our universe, using, yeah, like stars. I mean, imagine a star in the fifth dimension. It would be, it would have an orbit, it would have gravity, it would, the thing is that I believe that there are white holes in the fifth universe more so than there are black holes. Um, for that, the reason I say that is because white holes actually expand and push out everything, and black holes suck in everything. So with dark energy having white holes and regular energy having black holes and positive forces, or we call them positive, but I call them negative because it's gravity. It pulls things together. That's a, it's so weird. Like positive is repulsive, right? Is pushing things away. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter. It's just a thought. So, our positive universe are, yeah, our positrons, and our, there are negatrons and there are positrons, and the negatrons have been captured in, has been seen in colliders, in electron colliders. So that is the Large Hadron Colliders, I should say. Large Hadron Collider in Europe, and those colliders actually have detected some parts of negative energy, and some of that negative energy has been stored for a day, um, in a magnetic cylinder that keeps it from interacting with any other elements. Um, Electromagnetic cylinder that keeps it from interacting with any other elements. So that's how they sustain having negative energy in our universe. With our universe of positive energy, the connection of positive and negative energy is a big reaction. And they're, of course, like Star Wars, Star Trek, um, like Star Trek, they have the ability to create negative energy and make a fusion drive or a not fusion drive. It's a can't think of the Star Trek term. Anyways, it's a oh yeah, of course. And shoot, just lost it again. Anyways, yeah. So I've got to call it quits. I'm getting a call from someone I need to talk to. All right, have a good day. Thanks. Bye.